So following that, we had the G1 Climax 35 announcement. So A block, we got Hiroki Goto, Bolton Oleg, Yuya Uemura, Yota Tsuji, Dave Finley, Evil, Sonata, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and then two more to be announced. Then in the B block, we had El Phantasmo, Shota Umino, Shingo Takagi, Zack Sabre Jr., Great Okan, Gabe Kidd, Narita, Konosuke Takeshita, and then two more to be announced. And so those 4 open spots will be determined by play-in matches. So 2 will take place on June 23rd at Korakuen Hall, while the other 2 will happen at the Tokyo Budokan on July 4th. The winners of the matches will determine the last entrance in the tournament. So on Monday, June 23rd, the A block play-in match will be Taichi versus Callum Newman. Then the B block play-in match will be Ishii versus Drilla Maloney. And then on Friday, July 4th, the A block play-in match is Oiwa versus Don Fale. And the B block play-in match is Yoshihashi versus Chase Owens.
And I mean, do you want to talk about it now, or did we want to get around to this? Like, I wasn't.
We got a bunch of questions. I think the questions will kind of help us talk about it here. So, first couple questions here from Emily in the Discord says, with Shota and ELP in the same G1 block, do we still need to be concerned about a shooter heel turn and splitting of the duo, or are we finally in the clear and it's just be friendly competition after Shota wore the LED sunglasses at Dominion? Asking the real questions over here.
I think you might be one of the only people as invested in this particular predicament. We're inquiring minds want to know. We're all on the edge of our seat wanting to I don't know. It is one of those things where I am hoping optimistically that I've seen instances where guys seemed a little lost in the shuffle, and then a strange bedfellows tag team kind of helped revitalize them and bring them back to prominence. One situation that is a great example of that is like Team Hell No. Mm-hmm. Bryan Danielson was kind of like lost in the shuffle there. It was like, what the fuck is going on with Bryan Danielson? And then Team Hell No literally was the trajectory to him like getting the superstar run and the yes movement, yada yada yada. So like, who knows? Maybe I would love to believe that like this partnership with ELP could lead to something of a similar ilk, but I just don't believe it's not them. I don't believe in Ghetto. Yeah, and I think Emily, you're making a mistake in putting your faith in these people to do this.
Yeah, and I do think Umino is a really good tag team wrestler. I feel like at times where he's been spotlighted in tag teams like World Tag League, him and Narita, and even him and ELP, I feel are starting to gel really well. And I think, yeah, things are not working out on the singles. Yeah, put him in a tag team for a little bit, let him kind of strive in a tag team division, and get him over that way instead of forcing him to try and be a single star. Emily also asks, with no Hiromu to be found in the G1 playoffs, what do you think is next for him? And yeah, I don't know, and I don't know if this is an office decision or if it's more of a Hiromu decision. I know Hiromu's been saying, he wants the juniors to be main eventers. He wants the juniors to main event the Tokyo Dome. So is this him just wanting to just be a junior forever, or is this a company again kind of dropping the ball and not putting him in that position?
We're talking about Hiromu here. Yeah, that's, I don't know. It is perplexing. It's mind-boggling. It seemed right there. If there was ever really gonna be a time where things align perfectly for him to potentially take that step, now is the time. And, looking at if you didn't want to make him part of the initial, how many guys was 16? If you don't want to make him part of the initial 16, you wanted him to earn his way in, you put him in the play-in round. That's fine. But we've already done the thing in the past. Yeah, it was pandemic time, but like they've already had Hiromu in heavyweight tournaments, not the G1, but he was in a New Japan Cup. We've seen him
challenge for the world title. Yeah,
he's challenged for the world title. He's challenged for the open weight title. he's done everything that there is to do in the junior division. Like, he's firmly cemented himself as a top 4 all-time junior in this company, along with the likes of Liger, Fujinami, and Tiger Mask. And then when you talk about the 4th guy, it's got to be Hiromu. There's nobody else who's on the same level as those 4 guys. His days as the ace of the company are long past. He's filled out his frame. LIJ is done. What more could you? The only way that I could, I mean, and it's unfortunate because we're still doing the fantasy booking thing, and it seemed like this was a low hanging fruit just right there in front of them, easy to kind of go with. But it's like the only way I could potentially see them ever going with Hiromu right now, moving forward, is if he pulls the Finn Balor Prince Devitt thing where he forms his own faction and, you know, does the open weight, I'm a junior, switching to heavyweight, leading the group sort of thing. But if that doesn't happen like the next year, like this was the opportune time and they firmly missed it. And are we heading, down the Hiromu path, or like the fuck, what's his name? What I'm trying to think of Kushida. Are we heading down the Kushida path where it's like this guy has outgrown the division, but they don't have anything creatively left for him? Or are we going to have to do the Liger thing where it's like, okay, you've won the title a million times, you've won the Super Juniors a million times. We're just going to give you the carte blanche to do whatever the fuck it is that you want to do and go work abroad and come and go as you please, and just kind of maintain your like emeritus status with the company.
Yeah, and it could be also what Rambones alludes to this next question. So he says, "What's going on for Hiromu? I thought for sure he would be a G1 playing contender. Do you think there's a real possibility that he will eventually get frustrated about his stagnation and leave?" And so, I mean, we've already seen the LIJ exodus of Naito and Bushi leaving. Also, I think Naito was more of the contract and date situation, not so much creative, but again, I don't know what Hiromu really wants. Verbally, he keeps mentioning, wanting the juniors to the main event Tokyo Domes and be the headline features on these shows. And so I don't know if that's just what he's always been saying now, or is he open to wanting to be a heavyweight star? And whether he wants to or not, like if as a booker, I see this guy as a star. We talked about earlier, he has that LIJ juice that could still be squeezed. I'm saying, hey man, I know you want the juniors to do all this stuff, but we need you as a star in the heavyweight division. We need you in G1. So I don't know if it's him or the company or what the deal is, but maybe if he doesn't get what he wants eventually, maybe he does leave. So,
well, the one thing with all of that is we saw where they started to integrate juniors into the G1 in the 2000s, and it was always an extremely dismal, kind of disappointing performances, and point standings where they just didn't do very well. They didn't win very many matches. Liger, every single heavyweight run that Liger ever had was super disappointing. And it didn't matter if it was Black Liger in the early 2000s where he was squashing dudes. Like literally, they sacrificed the whole fucking division in early 2000 so that he could look compelling enough to go up to heavyweight just so he could job out in a few minutes like Kensuke Sasaki and a few other guys. Like, and it didn't, it was like, why did we do this? Why did he just slaughter the division just so that the heavyweights could all slaughter him? And now the juniors are even lower because of it. Yeah. Or, in the mid 2000s, he had CTU and they tried, we're going to make him the leader of his own faction. And that was cool, but it didn't lead to anything. There were so many times they could have gone with Liger and done something and they fucking failed at it. And history's repeating itself. The only time they've ever really tried it and it worked was Devitt. And you would wonder, like, why haven't they tried that again? They could, but they haven't, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, you have two handmade stars in Hiromu and El Desperado, two guys that could step up and be leaders of factions and have units being built around them. But yeah, they refuse to do that. I think Francesco Akira is starting to really develop. He's another guy that like, I could see maybe building an empire around him. And so yeah, there's guys that they could try it with, but for whatever reason, they're kind of sticking to their tradition and going with the heavyweight guys and not going with Hiromu, a genuine star. Like they are throwing money away by not using him in G1.
I think that not using Desperado as well as Hiromu is detrimental to the company as a whole when it comes to the G1, because you've got two guys who their frames are not that far off from everybody else's. Their working ability, they're right in the same class as everybody else. And there's clearly fluff in this grouping right now that you could cut right out and exponentially increase the visibility and intrigue of the tournament by just including those two guys or even just one of them. But the fact that neither of them are in it, but we are going to have, I don't know, like Ren Narita in there or Sonata,
Sonata,
or Evil.
Yeah.
I don't know. It sucks.
Too much how to torture in this G1. Next question here from Taguchi Main says, is there any Tanahashi G1 matches you're looking forward to, and what will his final point total be?
I'm not, to be honest with you. I don't know. There's nothing that I saw so far, and I haven't even really given too much thought about it. I think back to like what Nagata did in his final G1, and like I wonder, like, is Tanahashi going to be able to do that? And my gut feeling and instinct is no, he's not going to be able to put in a classic, all-time classic performance each and every night in a losing effort to, leave that lasting legacy. And that's okay. It's Tanahashi. He's done enough in his career, but I don't know. I can't tell you that there's realistically, Jeremy, there's not a single match right now in the entirety of New Japan Professional Wrestling, Shinihan, that we either haven't seen or that I am clamoring to see when it comes to Tanahashi, not just for this G1, but in general.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at his block, so yeah, he's an A block, and I mean, he's already faced most of these guys, and yeah, I don't see a super exciting, compelling matchup there. We've seen Goto Tanahashi this year. We've seen him we just saw him against Yuya. We've seen him against Evil recently. Like, I don't think any of these matches, like pre House of Torture Sonata, might be a decent match, but now that's not going to be good. So yeah, there's nothing really in A block. I really want to see that matchup. And then like you said, I guess he's faced everybody. He's done everything. Plus his knees are completely shot. Like, we'll get to it, but when he walked out to answer Gabe Kidd's challenge, he looked like he was in pain walking down that ramp.
I honestly feel like he should have been in the play-in rounds. I get why they included him, and that's fine, but it's like I would have preferred that they had like whichever guy it is that's going to get through, and I don't know who it is. I don't know who's going to win these play-in rounds, but let's just say it's Drilla, right? I would have rather them just announce Drilla and have Tanahashi fight Ishii or some shit like that to get into the tournament,
Yeah, considering he didn't make it in last year, and that could have been a cool story of like, I got to fight my way back in for my last G1. So that could have been a compelling story there. Question from TKZ: is there something I'm missing with the G1 lineup this year, or is it really underwhelming?
I feel underwhelmed by this year's lineup. I drew up my own lineup. I won't go over it, but it cut out a lot of the guys that I just don't find to be compelling performers personally, and included some of these guys that are in the play-ins that I feel like have done enough to just deserve to be in. Included the juniors, and for shits and giggles, I threw an AEW star in there, and I was like, which AEW star could they just doesn't need to be around, would make an impact, would be so fun to see in this environment, and could eat losses, and Tony Khan would be fine with all of it. And I was like, let's just put fucking Samoa Joe in this shit, you know? Like that's a guy that like it's super low stakes, but he would have a huge impact and he's just never worked for this company and he has a huge resume in Japan. Like that's the kind of shit that I would like to see.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And we did hear about an AEW name that was a potential or was lobbying to get into G1, and had that happen, like
There were several, Jeremy. There were several names, and I will tell you that the level of the talents that wanted to perform and be included,
super up there.
they like eclipse, I would say 95% of the stars that, the quote unquote stars that were included for whatever reason. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But gotta make room for Don Fale to potentially get in this thing.
Super important.
Wukong 901 says they just announced the lineup for the play-in matches. Who would you guys want to get in? Which match has your attention the most?
I don't really love the idea that the play-in rounds is simply just 4 standby elimination matches. I liked that there was a mini tournament last year.
Mhm.
But that's okay. But they haven't explained the logic of how they came to be that these were the 4 individuals selected and why they were not included versus other people that were, automatically grandfathered in. So I feel like it's fucking weird. And when I try to book out like who will get in and who should get in, it's mostly negative, honestly. Like I mean, the best case scenario is both Chase Owens and Fale don't get in, but then you still find yourself in that situation where it's like, why the fuck is Ishii and Drilla going head to head and one of them not going to be in it? And
Yeah.
you kind of hope that the young guy Drilla is the one that gets in, but then it's like, if Ishii can't do a G1, why the fuck is he a dual champion, singles and tag team
Well,
champion?
Josh, it's summertime. It's time for Ishii's summer vacation. That man likes hanging around Willow.
So I'm like, what's the other A block match?
Oiwa and Don Fale.
Okay, I'm sorry. So
Taichi and Newman.
yeah, and then Taichi and Newman is like, all right, so again, we're gonna see a situation where hypothetically, if the young guy gets through, then the tag champions just are not included in general. Or if Taichi gets through, then someone who challenged for the world title within the calendar year is not good enough to be in the tournament. Like it doesn't fucking make sense. I can make it so simple for you. Like I know that not everybody like Oiwa should just be in it.
Yeah.
Ishii should just be in it. Given like the credentials. And then you have to kind of take your pick. Like you should probably just put in Drilla.
Mm-hmm.
And I know everyone loves Yoshihashi and loves Taichi, but you should probably just pick between one of those 2 guys and put them in. It's honestly, it should probably just be Taichi since he's a champion. And then unfortunately, the guys that don't get in would be who? That'd be
Fale, Chase, Yoshihashi. Yeah, and that'd be it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't love the lineup of this, and I don't feel like it's as compelling for I thought that the Soul Tour last year was so compelling because it was like we have a tournament with all of these dudes with these, it's like we're getting another a mini New Japan Cup in the middle of the year to get qualifiers for the tournament. And it's like you could be doing mini tournaments to get the 4. Like the fact that you have 4 slots opens things up even more. It's less limiting. You could just do, how they had the 4 brackets instead of a finals, just the winners of those brackets just go to the G1. That's perfect, but we're not getting that. So the Soul Tour has less juice. The guys that get into the G1 have less that they've actually done to earn the spot to endear them to the audience and the fans at home. They basically just won one play-in match. It's less meaningful. I don't know. I don't love it. And then and you know that one of those House of Torture guys is probably getting through. So it's either we're probably getting Chase Owens or Fale in the fucking tournament.
Yeah. Out of all of them, I think Drilla and Ishii will probably be. I guess Drilla and Ishii and Taichi and Newman will probably be like the two best matches out of this thing. I think Drilla's going to beat Ishii just to get the win back. You know, they've been trading wins this year. So I think Drilla will get the win back, and Ishii will have his summer vacay in AEW. I could see them, because Taichi's made a big deal about wanting to get in G1 this year. I could see them upsetting Newman and having Taichi go through. But like you said, that's dumb that a world title contender is not going to get in. And I think Oi was going to get in, but I can see Chase, the whole new Lone Star cowboy gimmick, beating Yoshihashi and getting in.
And, you know, I hate to say it, but I don't see anybody in this play-in that I think really, at the end of the day, what we're hoping for is like guys' careers to be forwarded and, you know, for them to up the overall quality of the tournament. But there's nobody that's like meaningful that's going to get through, that like has oomph to like really being a player in the G1.
Yeah.
Like, it's like these are the standby forgotten guys that just really won't be much. If anything, they'll probably just play like spoiler. Your best case scenario, and I don't have any actual faith that this would happen, is that Oiwa goes through and just fucking runs amok and goes to the finals, and you know, like that's your best case scenario out of all of this.
But Josh, that means they would have to push a young guy.
Right, exactly.
Why would they do that? Oh man.
Didn't Okan make it to the like play-in finals at the end?
Yeah, he was one of the three last year.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. How come he didn't get to main event the Dome? They went with Shota. It's weird.
I don't know. Death Triangle 720 says, did either of you have the thought that the company is broke with the lack of interesting talents involved in G1 or in the faction mix-ups?
Yeah, I do. I have very serious concerns about that. Both broke financially
and creatively. Yeah, you're telling me like outside of AEW, there's no other like freelancer or a cool outsider we could have brought into this thing?
No, it's not even just that, Jeremy. It's the talent that you do have that you have not figured out how to maximize and market and push properly within your own company. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there's, again, Hiromu, Desperado are guys that should be using this thing.
Not even just them, but even people that are included in the tournament that you know don't really stand a chance, but should be much further along, given the fact that we're 3 years back into most of these guys' excursion returns. 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is. Like, should be further along.
Mm-hmm.
Shit's weird.
Yeah. Then last G1 question here from Reddit user Stay With Gas. Can you see them letting Takeshita win the G1?
Yes, but I don't. Maybe, and he might. I think he's a favorite, but I don't know that that's 100% where we're going. But yes, I could.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. And a lot of people want that to happen. And based off what happened in the next matchup, it's definitely a possibility.